From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family. At the Embassy Diner, mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Mention Sports Bash, get a free autograph photo. And don't forget, later in the show, we'll tell you about the Living Legends item of the week. Sports Bash is also presented by Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome to Sports Bash. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube and follow the Govs Comedy Club podcast page on Facebook. Also follow Sports Bash Media on all the socials, X, Instagram, and Facebook, and follow along there as well. Coming up on the show, I'll be joined by former Islanders captain Brent Sutter, who'll be inducted into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day and the Living Legends item of the week. This segment is presented by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Well, lots to talk about on this Tuesday, at least for the locals. The NFL season is over. Just unbelievably horrendous seasons for the Jets and the Giants. And now, the Giants, we know, Brian Daboll, the Jet head coach, and Joe Schoen, the general manager, they will be back this coming season. That announcement was made yesterday by Giants co-owner John Mara. A lot of Giant fans are not happy about that. They thought they might go in a different direction, but they have the third pick in the draft, and now Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will go back to work to try and put together a roster that can compete for a playoff spot next year. As for the Jets, I mean, it's easy to say it, but I'll say it all the time. Same old Jets. Seems like we're talking about this every year. Disappointment, frustration. But now there's drama. There's intrigue because the Jets are still looking for a general manager. They're still looking for a head coach. What will they do? We could talk about that later on in the show. 516-465-3990. If you want to get in on the conversation, before I give my thoughts on the Jets and the Giants, and we'll get into it again a little bit later on in the show, too, on the back end of the program. But I do want to share some news with everybody. If you follow me on social, you probably know the news already. I spent 8 years working for the New York Dragons and the Arena Football League. And, to this day, I say this to everyone that would listen to me, it was the best job I ever had. And no disrespect to anywhere else that I've worked, and I've had some unbelievable opportunities in my broadcasting and sports career, whether it's working at WFAN, whether it's working at ESPN Radio, all the places, even, here, working with Tony, but, just kidding. It's always good once in a while that I get him to fall out of his chair. I mean, I don't want him to get hurt, but back to my point. With no disrespect to any of the other places, and I've been very fortunate over 35 years to have some great jobs and great opportunities. It's been awesome. But the 8 years I spent with the Dragons and the Arena Football League, well, it's going to be very, very difficult to knock that off the number one list. And it's just because, people say, why? And I'm like, because it was football play-by-play. For me, it's my first love. I love doing shows. I love anchoring updates, but I love doing play-by-play for football. And it was my second pro football job, because I did the first year of the XFL, 2001. I was the radio announcer for the New York, New Jersey Hitmen. And because of that, I wound up getting that job in the Arena League for 8 years. And it was wonderful. And it was, I love arena football. I think it's a great sport. I think it's a great product. We've seen players go from the Arena League to the National Football League and to other bigger levels of football. But it was also the people that made that very special. And the Dragons ended in 2008, really 2009, because the new owners had bought them, but they never got to see them play because the league folded. But I got to meet so many wonderful people over my, 8 or 9 years working in arena football. And I had a little bit of a taste of it again in 2019, working for a team in the National Arena League, and they still owe me money, so I don't really talk about it that much. And then I had another little taste in the last season with the new AFL, doing some arena ball work for them. It wasn't really the same. But I am very, very excited that for the first time since 2008, arena football is coming back to Nassau Coliseum in the Entertainment Football Association. It's a brand new league that is launching this year with 4 teams: Long Island, Fitchburg, Massachusetts, Morristown, New Jersey, and Danbury, Connecticut. And next Wednesday, and I've been hired by the league to help launch the New York team, the Long Island franchise. And we're going to have a big launch event next week at Nassau Coliseum on Wednesday. And the great excitement on this is that the commissioner of this league is former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Andre Reed, who is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's the commissioner. He's going to be at this press conference and event that we're going to have next Wednesday. So I'm really excited about that. And obviously, next Thursday on the show, I'll do a little recap of the announcement. We're going to try to get Andre Reed on the show on Tuesday. We're going to see if we can make that happen. But that's the hope, that we can have Andre Reed on the show next Tuesday to talk about it. It's going to be a little different than you might, if you went to Dragons games back in the day. It's going to be a little bit different. There's no kicking in this league, so there's no goalposts. And it's going to be some Iron Man football where players are going to play both sides of the ball. I don't want to divulge too much about it, but it's going to all be announced next Wednesday. And I will say this, I'll give this little tease about it. It's not just about a football game. It is going to be a day of, it's going to be a day of entertainment. Let's put it that way. And a day of fun, football, and entertainment. So you'll want to stay tuned for that big announcement next Wednesday. And again, I'm excited about it. Again, arena football owns a big piece of my heart, and so I'm really excited to get back into this next week. So looking forward to talk about that. Again, we'll see what happens beyond the press conference, but that is going to be a team that's going to start playing June, and looking forward to it. Again, we'll have coverage of it here on Sports Bash as well. And again, we're hoping to have Andre Reed on the show next Tuesday. Back to the Jets and the Giants, and I wanted to at least start with them and get back to it, but I wanted to get that announcement out of the way. As far as the Jets go, I mean, there's all kinds of conversation back and forth online. Who should be the Jets GM? Who should be the Jets head coach? And the Jets seem to have inquired about 8 million different people to talk to for these two jobs. And it doesn't matter if Tony is hired as the GM and I'm hired as the head coach. It doesn't matter if they were able to bring Vince Lombardi out of the grave and bring him back to life, or Weeb Eubank or Walt Michaels, whatever. You pick any coach that's had success, the Tom Landrys of the world. It doesn't matter who is running this team, the GM, the coach, down to the assistant coaches, to the players, to the dancers. It doesn't matter. They could hire the best two candidates. But again, it sounds like a broken record. It comes down to the owner getting out of the way and letting whoever he hires run the team. Hire the GM, hire the coach, and get out of the way. That's what Woody Johnson needs to do. Now, as far as candidates, I mean, there's a bunch of good ones out there. The assistant GM from the Chiefs, his name escapes me at the moment, but he's out there, a number of qualified candidates, and then really it comes down to me, like the general manager, depending on when he's hired, he could be picked by the head coach too. So I'm not really overly concerned about the general manager. The big problem here is who's going to coach this football team. And unless you've been under a rock, you know that today the Jets are getting into the DeLorean. They got Doc Brown to drive it, and they're going back in time. And they're going to be down in Florida interviewing Rex Ryan for the Jets head coaching job. Now, I'm not opposed to a former coach of a team eventually coming back. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan. Billy Martin managed the Yankees 5 times. It didn't work out all the time, obviously, back and forth, but it happens. John Gruden went back to the Raiders until he got himself in trouble with those emails that had caught up to him. But this idea of Rex Ryan coming back and coaching the Jets after the first run seems a little strange to me. Now, will he bring the fire? 100%. Does he know what he's doing? 100%. Is it the right move at this time? I'm not sure about that. He's been out of coaching for a long time. That's not always a problem because Dick Vermeil was out of coaching for a long time and he came back and won a Super Bowl with the Rams. But I just don't know if Rex Ryan is the right fit. I mean, with some of these other candidates that are out there, and I want no part of Ron Rivera, to be honest. I saw that they were interviewing him. Granted, they have to do their due diligence with people who they're talking to. But Mike Vrabel would have been the first choice, and it's clear now that Gerard Mayo got fired after 1 year in New England. Mike Vrabel is going to be the head coach of the Patriots. So now who do the Jets go? Rex, we've seen that story. Now, he took the Jets to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. His first 2 years, great. And then after that, everything went downhill. And then he went to go coach the Bills, and he had no success there either. So I'm not sure if it's the right thing. Now, I had said on WFAN a few weeks ago when I was filling in one morning doing updates on Boomer and Geo that I was emphatic when you started to hear Rex Ryan talking about it every day that he wanted to interview for the job and talk about it. It almost seemed to me that it was a fait accompli. That why would he make himself look like an idiot on television, on ESPN every day, if he didn't already know, A, he was going to interview for the job, and B, that maybe Woody's already told him you're going to be the head coach. So there's a big part of me that thinks that Rex Ryan already knows he's going to be the head coach of the Jets. Again, I would not be shocked if Woody went down that road. But here's, and I've mentioned this on social media, I've mentioned this on FAN, and people look at me like I have 17 heads. Here's the guy I would hire. Matt Nagy, Chiefs offensive coordinator, former head coach of the Chicago Bears, was the NFL Coach of the Year his first year on the job, was a double doink away from the Bears going to the NFC Championship game. And he did that with Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback. And then it went downhill after that, and he got run out of town, went back to the Chiefs, and now he's got 3 Super Bowl rings with the Chiefs, or 2, I think. Yeah, he's got 2. Because he wasn't with them. He had left to go to the Bears with their first win. So he's got 2 Super Bowl rings with the Bears, with the Chiefs, excuse me. He's the guy that I would want. Now, again, full transparency, Matt Nagy is a friend of mine. He was a former Dragons quarterback. We stayed friendly as he got into coaching, went under Andy Reid as a coaching intern in Philadelphia, worked his way up the ranks, went with him to the Chiefs, and then got the job with the Bears. Now he's back with the Chiefs. And now I think he's ready for that second head coaching job. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out the first time you're an NFL head coach. And I don't want the Jets to have a first-time head coach. They have to get someone who's got experience. And to me, he fits that bill. He had a little success his first year with the Bears. Then it went downhill. But maybe he went back to the Chiefs and learned a little bit. I think he is prime and ripe for another chance to coach, be a head coach in the NFL. And that's who I would go with. Again, I'm not involved in the decision-making process. Brian Flores is a good candidate as well. Aaron Glenn, the former Jet, who's the defensive coordinator with the Lions, he'd be an outstanding pick too. But I really feel that Matt Nagy is ready for that second shot. And when you think about coaches who have had that second chance and made the most of it, how about Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick did not have a great amount of success. I think he had one playoff year with the Browns and then was out. And then you saw what he did with the Patriots all those years. I'm not saying that Matt Nagy is going to come to the Jets and win 18 Super Bowls. I'd like one. But I just think, knowing him, knowing how hard he works, the disappointment of how it ended with the Bears, my pick, and I just think it would be cool to know the head coach of the Jets. I mean, I'm being a little selfish there too. But I would like to see Matt Nagy become the next head coach of the New York Jets. We're going to turn the attention to hockey. When we come back, we're going to be joined by legendary Islander, former captain, a two-time Stanley Cup champion, and a guy who's going to be going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. Brent Sutter joins me when Sports Bash returns right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyWyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Heating and Air Conditioning Company. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome back to the show. Coming up on January 18th, it's going to be a memorable night in the history of the Islanders as they induct their former captain, Brent Sutter, into their Hall of Fame. On that night, the Islanders take on the San Jose Sharks at UBS Arena, and we want to welcome into the program the former captain and former Islanders great Brent Sutter to the show. Brent, it's Peter. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show, and congratulations on this very deserving milestone. And you had such a wonderful run with the Islanders, 2 times a Stanley Cup champion, and eventually became the captain. So when you found out that you were going into the Islanders Hall of Fame, what was your reaction, and what's your overall emotions like right now?
Well, Lou called me, and he wanted to be the one to reach out and let me know that I was going to be inducted into it, and that there was the process that they had is there was a selection committee of New York sports writers that they're using a committee now to select the members into it. So that in itself was unique, and I guess you might say special too, the fact that it's just not being done internally, and then they do all the research and talk to the people they need to talk to of the people that may be put in, and then I was the one that was selected, and obviously I was emotional. It's something you just don't expect. I mean, it's I was tremendously humbled and honored and very grateful for it. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
When you look up at the rafters now at UBS Arena and back in the day at Nassau Coliseum, there have been so many great players who have put the Islanders sweater on, whether it's the Mike Bossies of the world and the Brian Trottiers of the world, Butch Gorings, all those guys that are, and Dennis Potvins, all those guys that are up in the rafters, and the guys that are on the Hall of Fame banner that don't have their number retired, whether it's a Kenny Morrow or an Eddie Westfall, and now you're going to be up there with those names as well. And I would imagine for you, who had so much pride putting the blue and orange on, that's got to be a cool thing to know that you're going to be up there in the rafters with those great names as well.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I mean, I think all of them outside of Kenny Johnson, I played with all of them, or got to know them. I didn't play with Eddie, but Eddie was doing color on our radio and traveled with us and everything like that. So I knew everybody obviously very, very well, and they're all deservedly so to be up there and to be added to that group. Yeah, I mean, it's something that again, as I said earlier, I'm tremendously honored.
Talking to Brent Sutter, he's going to go into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th, and he's joining us here on Sports Bash. When you think back to your run with the Islanders, obviously you joined them in the middle of the dynasty, and you get the last 2 cups, and you go to the finals for the 3rd straight year for yourself, the 19 straight playoff series wins. When you joined the team, did you have a feeling? I mean, obviously they already had won the first 2 Stanley Cups, but what was your feeling in joining that team as a rookie in 81, 82, being part of a team that had already won 2 Stanley Cups?
Well, I remember exactly today where I was at and where I was sitting and everything when they won the first one. And brother Dwayne was obviously on the team and watching the game, and knowing that, that when that Stanley Cup was over, there was a draft going to be coming up, and I was, a candidate to be drafted, and I didn't expect, to be quite honest, drafted by the Islanders. I thought truthfully, I thought I was either going to be drafted by the Rangers or the Calgary Flames. They were the 2 teams that I'd spent a lot of time with that winter, and with their scouts, with their Western Canada scouts, and gone for dinners and lunches and so forth. And that's truly where I thought I was going. And then when I got the call that day, I was actually working, and my boss came and got me and said, "You're wanting on the phone." I was surprised and shocked. It was the New York Islanders, and it was Mr. Torrey, and Bill just basically said, "Hey, we selected you 17th overall in the first round of the NHL draft, and welcome to the Islanders, and I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks." And that was kind of the midst of the conversation. And I hung up, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just watched that team win the Stanley Cup, and brother Dwayne's there, and maybe I'll be fortunate, lucky enough to play there someday." And going in the first camp, obviously, nervous, but it's funny, back in the day, the Islander games used, we just got a satellite dish at the farm, at the mom and dad's farm at the homestead, and so you can get some games that were on TV, and we watched the Islanders a lot, and it was so cool because the way the cameras were set up in Long Island was so far away, so it seemed
Yeah.
like the ice was so far away, but it was so cool watching that. And and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my God, maybe someday I'll be able to be on that ice with the team too." And then a year and a half later, I mean, I got an opportunity that rookie year to play 3 games, and then on a road trip in Calgary, Vancouver, and LA. But then I was able to go there full time on January 4th of the following year.
You had that special opportunity, as you mentioned, to play with your brother Dwayne, who was part of, I guess he's one of 16 players that played on all 4 Stanley Cup teams. And I'm sure he filled you in on how special that group was, the family atmosphere, from Bill Torrey to Al Arbor on down through the roster. And I'm sure even before you were drafted, he must have shared a lot of stories of how special that group was.
Well, it's funny when after I hardly even seen Dwayne after they won the cup, because they stayed in Long Island for a bit, then they went on a holiday, and then our draft was on June 11th, and you had to fall into being 18-year-old before the draft. And my 18-year-old year was, or my 18-year-old birthday was on June 10th. So I made that draft by one day. And so I hadn't really even talked to Dwayne about the Islanders or anything before I was drafted, and basically just, watched him and congratulated him, and he was on his way again. And so it was unique, and I think he was quite surprised by it too. And it's a crazy story. He was picked, very same pick the year before.
Yeah, Jimmy Devellano told me that right after you got elected into the Islanders Hall of Fame, I had Jimmy Devellano, the director of scouting for the Islanders back then, on my Islanders podcast, and he mentioned that to me. That was kind of interesting. You were both the 17th pick in the first round.
Well, Jimmy D was a special man, and he, I owe a lot to him, and obviously to Bill and himself, and Jimmy D, and Jerry Tex Eamon, and Bert Marshall. And they believed in me, and after I got drafted, they spent time with me, and communicated with myself a lot until the time I was called up. So they made me feel like I was part of it, even when I wasn't on the team, and kept me updated on everything. So it was pretty cool. And but I do owe a lot to Jimmy D, for sure, being the director of player personnel.
When you think back of at your Islanders career, give me a couple of seminal moments that you may have had or remember that's stand out to you during the time that you wore the blue and orange.
Well, obviously the getting called up when I was 18 and playing those 3 games in Calgary. The crazy story. That first game, I got called up. It was emergency call up from when I was playing in Lethbridge, and they had some injuries, and they were making the Western trip, and I played in Calgary, and we got beat 11-4.
Oh, I remember that game.
Trotch wasn't playing, and there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys who were in the lineup, and then we went on to Vancouver, and we won 5-2 there, and I was able to get a goal and assist. And then we went into LA and we won that game 2-1. And I scored the first goal and assisted on John Potvin goal late in the game. And we ended up winning that game 2-1. And anyway, so that was obviously my first great memory of playing in a regular season game. Actually, my first exhibition game was in Chicago. And we started myself and Dwayne and Clarkie on the first shift of the game, and they had Tom Lysiak, brother Daryl, and Rich Preston, and the puck got dropped, and Tom Lysiak put it between my feet. I turned around and get it, and he put it back between my feet and gave it back to his defenseman. It's like, welcome to the National Hockey League, young kid. So it was, those kind of things you remember. And then my first training camp, obviously exciting, but very nervous. And, I got I think a couple exhibition games, and then they sent me back. And then being around the team during that at the end of that rookie of that year when they were playing Minnesota in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I was with the team, and I was a black ace. It was myself, Kelly Rudy, and Monty Trotche were the three young kids they brought up, and got to practice and do all that stuff and be around the whole setting of the Stanley of that the last two rounds of that playoffs, and seeing just the whole side of it, right? And every experience you go through, and that kind of stuff, it just makes you better. And you learn quickly how to be a professional. You learn quickly what it was going to take to win, and how if you want to be part of that, and how you have to do both things, both the right way, both on and off the ice. And you learn a lot through all that. So, then playing and getting called up, it's a crazy story. In December that year, I got named to the World Junior team, and I thought I was going to the World Juniors, and they called me and asked me if I would, they invited me to the World Juniors, and then they were going to name me captain. And I'm like, yeah, that's quite an honor, pretty cool about that. And 4 days later, I got a call from Bill, and he said, "You're not going into the World Juniors." He goes, "I got a plan for you." And I asked him what the plan was. And he said, "Well, we're going to call you up on December. You're going to play in Detroit on December 20th or 21st. And we're going to bring you in for that game. Then we're going to go back to New York, and you're going to play against Winnipeg at home on the December 22nd. Then we're going to fly you back home, and you're going to spend your last Christmas with your mom and dad. Then you're going to go back and join your junior team, after Christmas." And I was happy to be playing defense then because we had so many injuries. And he said, "Because you guys got a lot of injuries," he said, "don't get hurt, and we're calling you up for good on January 4th.
Wow. And that was all mapped out.
It was all mapped out. Yeah, they had it mapped out for me. And they said, "Please don't tell anybody about it." So, because I just kept everything quiet.
Wow.
Mom and dad didn't even know. When I left Long Island on December 22nd, no one knew. I knew, but no one else knew. And then on, barring that I didn't get hurt. And then on January 4th, they obviously wanted to talk to John Chapman, my coach and GM with the Broncos in Lethbridge, and they communicated with him probably sometime after Christmas. I'm not sure when it was, and then I was on a plane on January 4th to Long Island.
That's unbelievable. We're talking with the great Brent Sutter, who's going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. We've mentioned the names a few times already, but I'm going to mention them again because I need to ask you what they meant to you in your career and how they shaped the rest of your life. But Bill Torrey, the general manager, Al Arbour, the legendary head coach, I think it goes without saying how important they were to the Islanders, and I think also how important they were to NHL history because of the impact that they had. But what was the impact they had on you, and how did they teach you how to be a pro?
Well, obviously Bill was the architect of, and obviously his staff, architect of putting it all together. And, right from through the years before they won the cups, and then, then obviously the teams and that they put together to win them. And, I was probably the, when you think about the 2 years before that, the, they made the trade to bring Butchie in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year they made the trade to bring Mike McEwen in. And then I was the trade in the third year, where they didn't make a trade. I was the call up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there wasn't a big trade made at that point in time. And right from the start, Bill was so good, and he just, they took me under their wings, and and they made sure that I was settled and everything like that. And obviously, without saying, the players were a big part of that too. Obviously, my teammates, and to a man. And and then just over time, you're there for a long period of time, and Bill's your general manager for those full 10 years, and Al was my coach for 8.5 years, except for the year and a half when Terry Simpson came in and coached. And they became like father-like figures to me. There was, they had a, I guess they could read me like a book. They knew, and that, if my game was a little off, they'd come and talk to me about it, and they'd get it straightened right out. And I was a very coachable player, and I was all ears. I wanted to learn and listen, and it didn't matter whether it was in my first year or my 10th year. And they made me a better player, but better yet, they made me a better person. And truly, to be a pro every day on how you go about it, your preparation, treat practices like games.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. That's the way we, everyone talks about how good the Islanders were. Should have come and watched us practice.
Wow.
Like our practices were all in. Like there was, like, we practiced the way we played. And it was just the whole mindset. It was a championship caliber team that did it the right way on a daily basis. And Bill and Al were obviously the leaders in that, and the way they went about it. And and over time, obviously things had changed with the team. Slowly they were changing. You might say the guard a little bit, and some of the players were retiring, some players were getting moved out. And then I ended up becoming the captain, and even just the closeness I had with Al, like just not even talking about our, the game or our team, just talking about the game in general and just life in general. And he was very, very always there, always supportive. Like I said, both Bill and Al came like father figures to you, and you learned so much through them that made you, just like I said, just not a better player, but made you stay grounded as a person too. And they never let you get ahead of yourself.
Brent, how special was it to play at Nassau Coliseum? Obviously, the Islanders have this magnificent new home in UBS Arena, and they needed it after those years of not knowing where the team was going to wind up. But there's still so many great memories that came from Nassau Coliseum for you as a player. What did it mean to play there? How special was it?
It was awesome. The first real thing that I guess before he ever got into the Stanley Cup playoffs that year was when I first went to the Honors in January. Which all teams do. They have their stale moments in a season, and the Stanley Cup teams are no different. And the team was, trying to battle their few injuries, trying to battle through some things, just maybe not playing up to the standards that everybody would have liked to see us play at, and the team play at. And then we went on that 15-game winning streak run, and every game just seemed to get the climax, and just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll never forget that when we got into game 15, how the dressing room was. And it was just quiet. And yet you could tell there was a self-belief and a confidence inside of our room that we really wanted to get this done. And yet you knew your opposition was the Colorado Rockies. And at that time, they were the lowest standing team in the league, but you knew they were going to be fired up to play us. And they were. And it's probably the best game the Colorado Rockies ever played was that night, right? And it took, 59 minutes, whatever, and 13 seconds, whatever. What did Johnny score with JT
47
scored?
seconds left. Yeah.
Yeah. So 59 minutes.
I could still hear Jigs McDonald saying that on TV because I was watching it at home.
Yeah. And to win that game and just the way the building was throughout as we got up to that game and the way the building it was wired. And I remember thinking after that game was over, it's like, and I'd experienced as being on the Black Aces year before going through the playoffs when they were going through the playoffs and what the feeling in the building was like. But now as a player, it was a whole different setting. And that was certainly really special. And then you go through just so much playing the Rangers, the building, half Ranger fans, half Islander fans, fights in the stands.
The sparklers, remember the sparklers?
Oh yeah, sparklers.
You can't do that anymore.
No. And so there's a lot of great memories at Nassau Coliseum, and obviously they needed a new building, and it's awesome they got one, and they have a tremendous ownership with the Islanders, and obviously with Lou being there with great management and top notch from top to bottom, boy. And it was back then, and it is now, and just in a different building.
How are you enjoying owning and being the GM of Red Deer in the Western Hockey League? How obviously it's not the same as being a player, but I'm sure it gives you a tremendous amount of satisfaction to still be in hockey, to own that junior team and to run it every day.
Well, it was 2024 was 25 years. So I bought it in 1999, and my wife and I, Connie, we bought the team, and we ran it since then. And outside of 5 years of when I was coaching in the National Hockey League, I in some capacity I was coaching GM, and then I came back and I was coaching GM for a bit. Then I stepped down during COVID to focus in on the GM part of it, and the ownership part of it was just getting to be too much. And the way the game was evolving and everything that I just felt it was best that that it was just time. And but you know what, it's about both the kids, right? And hopefully they have opportunities to experience what I got to experience. And yet it's just not about the game. The hockey part of it is just about, you think back to our years, 16 to 20 years of age, and most important years of your life of finding a path and help. And for me, it's helping these kids find that path and helping them get on it. And because the reality is they're all not going to turn out to be hockey players, and but you want them to be great citizens, want to be successful in whatever they may do. And maybe in some small way you can help them through that process and allow them to be successful in life and whatever it may be.
And just to close, your thoughts on January 18th, what that you think is going to be like for you and your family being on the ice as your name goes up on the new Ring of Honor that's going to be installed at UBS Arena, and also this Hall of Fame plaque that's going to be displayed there.
Well, I'm obviously, you get emotional thinking about it. I guess for me, I never ever looked at myself, it was for people on the outside to determine what I was as a player, person, or whatever, right? I was just being me, raised in the right environment. Obviously, like I said, I'm tremendously honored. And, I was a player that I lived every day. I hated to lose. I wanted to be better every day. I wanted to be a great teammate. I wanted to be a coachable player, learn, listen, make myself better every day, and hold myself to high standards. And there's so many people to thank for that brought me along the way and that helped me through all that. But also, I credit, and they don't get enough credit for it because it's a big, can be very overwhelming going into that environment, and just the way my teammates were, but the way all the wives and the girlfriends and fiancés were to my wife Connie when you bring them in, because it can be very overwhelming for the girls too, and just that it was such a family atmosphere, and the way they just the whole thing was fantastic the way it was. And I can't, there's so many people to thank. And I brought up some gentlemen earlier that were very important in my hockey side of it, but the people you get to meet, the fans, the people you became friends with in the community and stuff like that, Long Island became our second home, and we lived there for 10 years.
Brent, I can't thank you enough for spending some time. Congratulations again on being elected into the Islanders Hall of Fame. I am so excited, looking forward to being there on January 18th, and thank you for all the great memories while you're with the Islanders.
Oh, I really appreciate it, bud. Thank you.
Former Islanders Brent Sutter going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. More Sports Bash coming up right after this.
Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia. We guarantee the authenticity of each and every item in our shop to provide you with quality collectibles anytime you browse our inventory. Our memorabilia includes autographed photos, sports equipment, jerseys, hats, and other paraphernalia from current athletes and legendary sports stars. If you prefer the entertainment industry, we have signed posters, albums, and photographs from classic movie stars and today's celebrities. To give back to our community, we participate in fundraising auctions for local charities. Call us today to request a specific autograph, find a special gift for someone else, or schedule an event. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles.
Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call here on the program. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel and follow the Govs Comedy Club podcast Facebook page. Also follow Sports Bash Media on all your socials, X, Instagram, and also on Facebook. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Many thanks to Brent Sutter, former Islanders captain, for spending some time, an extended period of time with us here on the show. I am so excited to be at UBS Arena on January 18th. when he is inducted into the Islanders Hall of Fame. And as you heard me talk about on the interview, the Islanders have the Hall of Fame. When you first come up the main entrance, up the escalator, you see the plaques for the Islanders Hall of Fame right there in the hallway, in the concourse. And of course, hanging from the rafters of UBS Arena, formerly Nassau Coliseum back in the day, you have the retired numbers, the Stanley Cup numbers, Stanley Cup banners, but also that Islanders Hall of Fame banner that will now have Brent Sutter's name on it. He'll be the last name on that first banner, and I'm sure there'll be more, another banner to come. But the Islanders are installing a ring of honor around the facade. I'm guessing it's the upper level where you see now the banners, like the homemade banners that are up there now. But there's going to be a ring of honor around that, and that's where the Islander greats will be immortalized, and Brent Sutter now will be part of that. And he was a terrific Islanders player, and I couldn't be happier for him that he is going in. A two-time Stanley Cup champion, a former captain, and I always thought he wound up coaching with the Blackhawks and coaching with the Devils. I always thought there would be a shot that he'd come back and coach the Islanders too, but it never happened, and now he's busy with his junior team in Red Deer. And good luck to the Rebels, obviously, the rest of the season. But it's just going to be nice to have Brent Sutter back in the building for the night with his family, former teammates, and it's going to be a wonderful night at UBS Arena, January 18th. And hopefully by that point, the Islanders can get on a roll a little bit here. You know, they had a big win in Boston on Sunday night. Again, blowing that 2-goal third period lead. Not happy at all about that, at all. So hopefully they can get that turned in the right direction. I thought we just saw a glimpse, it looked like, of that. No, that's okay. That's okay. That is a Walt Frazier autographed basketball from Steiner Sports. It is the Living Legends item of the week. Our good friends at Living Legends, my friend Warren, that is the item of the week at Living Legends, and the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day is presented by Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Mention Sports Bash and get a free autographed photo. And again, that item of the week, a Walt Frazier autographed basketball. I have Walt Frazier's autograph on 2 Knicks championship banners. I have the 1970 Knicks championship banner and the 1973 championship banner. And back in the day, remember they used to have the car show at Nassau Coliseum down in the exhibition hall, right? I remember that. So from time to time, they would have athletes signing autographs at those shows. And there was one night that I went one year, and Walt Frazier was there. And I had the 2 Knicks championship banners. I got those autographed. It's great. I love it. Have them in a case at home. And another time, they had Emerson Boozer and Matt Snell of the Jets. And I have their autographs on a little Jets mini helmet that I've since gotten other Super Bowl III players that have signed it for me. But I think my favorite thing that I had autographed at one of those car shows at the Coliseum was I had visited the Hockey Hall of Fame. And they had in the gift shop at the Hockey Hall of Fame this little plate with a painting of Mike Bossy on it.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, if you know me, you know that Mike Bossy is my favorite athlete ever. It's Mike Bossy. It's Thurman Munson. It's Mickey Schuler. And I guess I'll throw in Giorgio Canaglia from the Cosmos back in the day. But 1, 2, and 3 is Mike Bossy, Thurman Munson, and Mickey Schuler. And Mike Bossy signed that plate for me. So when Warren sent me that picture of the Walt Frazier autograph, I immediately started thinking of those old automobile shows at Nassau Coliseum. In any event, here is the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. And as we talked about before, with the Jets looking for a new head coach, here is the question. Very, very simple. With Mike Vrabel likely heading to the Patriots, who should be the next head coach of the Jets? You have 4 choices. Rex Ryan, Aaron Glenn, my choice, Matt Nagy, or other. Comment below. And again, just out of practice and out of habit, because we've done this poll question for like the last 72 years. And every time I put up other, comment below, people will click that, but then they don't comment below. So I need to know who your choice is so that we can talk about it on the show on Thursday. Speaking of Thursday's show, it is the next installment of FOP, Friends of Peter. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we had Amy McGorry from News 12. was the first FOP. She was in the studio with us for the whole hour. We had an absolute blast with her that day. She is so funny and just a really, really good person. And no different coming up this Thursday, Sean Winters from Winters Brothers, one of the most successful companies here on Long Island, and a huge Jets fan and a member of the Jets Fan Hall of Fame. He is going to be in studio with us for the whole hour. And if the last time was any indication, once Embassy Diner finds out about this, hopefully they bring over the same stash of food when Sean is here. But this is going to be an unbelievable hour with Sean. He is incredibly nice. And I mean, not only will we talk about, Winters Brothers and the Jets and what they're going to do during the offseason, but if you don't know, not only does Winter Brothers in, waste management, but also they have the Winters Brothers Center for Autism. And that is a very, very special thing that they do here on Long Island. In fact, last year, I do public address announcing for the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office hockey team. And they play different charity games during the course of the year. And one of the games they did last year, the proceeds from that game went to the Winters Center for Autism. So I was extremely privileged and honored to be a part of that. We'll talk to Sean about that. But mainly, we will talk about the Jets. We'll cry. We'll laugh. We'll scream. If the Jets don't have, if the Jets don't have a GM or a coach by that point, we'll argue about it. We'll talk about it. But that is coming up on the program on Thursday, Sean Winters. We're also going to play Stump the Wiz. Wiz Kid will be in here on Thursday to play Stump the Wiz. The question has already been entered. It has been selected. I'm not telling you what it is because I know you like to be surprised, Tony. Also on Thursday, you'll be able to guess who it is. But a tremendous question has been submitted. We're going to have that on Thursday. We'll see if we can stump the Wiz once again because he did get stumped last week. And we'll also have This Week in Sports History. So, again, thanks to my guest, Brent Sutter, on the program, and congratulations to the former Islanders captain going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. And that'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to Brent Sutter. Thanks to my good friend Tony Walker. By the way, if you're around Governors here in Levittown, Tony and I spent hours installing the Sports Bash banner earlier today. So if you drive around, you can see the Sports Bash banner now. So thanks to Tony for his help and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating Service. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Living Legends Memorabilia, by Bearcat Billing Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you on Thursday at 1 o'clock with Sean Winters. Have a great day, everybody.